Things are continuing to spiral out of control for CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, and I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. The more information that we learn, the worse that it gets for CD Projekt Red. IGN has given them a scathing review of a 4 out of 10 on consoles. 4 out of 10, and they went in big time. We also have reports of a conference call where CD Projekt Red admitted to not putting more emphasis on the consoles, the same consoles that you told everyone would work wonderfully, yet you withheld access for reviewers to have access to the console version because they knew that it wasn't going to work well. This is bad. Now, again, if you have a high-performing PC, then you probably don't have many problems. But that does not change the fact that they lied and misled people so that they could boost their pre-order numbers, and they did. 8 million copies sold pre-orders alone. Day one, they made a profit. So they got what they wanted, but the long-term effects of a company that had so much goodwill is going to be monumental, it seems. So let's look at a few things. So here's IGN, and look at the screenshot there. That's bad. Please don't play Cyberpunk 2077 on a base PS4 or Xbox One. It is a shockingly bad way to experience what is otherwise a fantastic RPG on better hardware. 4 out of 10. So they gave it a 4 out of 10. Reviewed on PS4, Xbox One, also available on PC and Google Stadia. You look at the Metacritic score. The Metacritic score for Xbox One is a 4.1. You look at it on PlayStation, it's a 3.0. Obviously, yes, if you go to the PC, people are having a better experience. A 7.0. Not great. And again, Metacritic is not something you just take that number as gospel. We understand that it's a shit show with the reviews on Metacritic. It's more to represent how people are feeling. Then we have these reports of right here. CD Projekt Red had a conference call a few hours ago where they admit they didn't spend enough time on the last-gen versions of Cyberpunk 2077 and assumed that Sony and Microsoft expected them to fix the problems before launch. And I'll just be like, I don't like the fact that it's being said as last-gen versions. Like, yes, right now, I guess you can make a justification that those are last-gen, but these systems, these next-gen systems, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are not widely available. So until they're widely available, it's hard to call these things last-gen consoles because the install base is massive. You have over 100 million PlayStation 4s out there. 100 million. The game Cyberpunk 2077 was originally meant to release during that generation, during the generation of the PS4 and the Xbox One. So you can't really call it last gen yet until these systems are widely available because nobody has access to them, generally speaking. Yes, people have these systems. I have a PlayStation 5 and I was lucky enough to get one, but that's just not the norm. Most people can't find these systems. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people are missing on this, that this game was originally set to release on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One during that cycle. And again, yes, if you have a PC, you probably have limited problems, but not everyone has access to that. And these games sold on PlayStation 4 and Xbox at full price, and they were marketed and misled to believe, people were misled to believe that these games would work properly on these systems. This is a massive failure. Massive failure. And CD Projekt Red has earned so much goodwill from so many people. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. But what we are dealing with now is a problem. And yes, I did see this tweet earlier. Cyberpunk 2077 made me realize that I should be as patient as humanly possible for Halo Infinite, and that is accurate. And as I've said, I'm fine with the delays. I'm fine with games being delayed. I'm a Nintendo fan, for crying out loud. Games from Nintendo are constantly delayed, but do you know what is also constant with Nintendo? The games are never broken. The games are never broken when they release. Almost always. There might be a few exceptions to the rule, but there's not many exceptions. Nintendo will delay a game over and over and over again until they get it right. And I just feel like CD Projekt Red knew this and they still released it. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. I don't know how they anticipated this wasn't going to be a massive PR nightmare for them. But this is where we are. And that is the screenshot. That is the thumbnail that IGN is using. And that is not good. That is awful. That is absolutely awful right now. And, you know, I think a lot of the problem too, a lot of people, like, let's give our boy Ryan Kennel a shout out. Again, Ryan Kennel of Geeks and Gamers, he was highly critical of CD Projekt Red about a month and a half ago. And he got absolutely destroyed in his comments and the like to dislike ratio because no one wanted to hear any criticism of CD Projekt Red, but Ryan was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of the curve on his criticisms of them, and now he has been proven 100% right. So a lot of people are very frustrated that they would criticize CD Projekt Red, but there was so much resistance, like you can't criticize them at all. You can't criticize them at all. But in reality, all of the criticisms, the concerns were 100% valid. And here we are now where it just gets worse every single day. Our buddy Lethal Lightning, who's part of the Geeks and Gamers team, who's on the Gaming Away Geeks podcast every Saturday here on this channel, he plays it on a base PS4, and his experience was awful. And a lot of people were going, well, he's just being a typical gamer who doesn't understand RPGs. Where he does understand RPGs. Of course, Lethal understands RPGs. He said he loved The Witcher. This was a situation where the game was broken. The game was unplayable. As he said it's unplayable. And now we are getting more and more reports to prove Lethal Lightning was 100% correct. No, he should not have to go and purchase a $4,000 PC to play a video game that is sold for full price on the current, or whatever you want to call it, last gen console. It was scheduled to release during that generation. So these games should work. And the fact that they actively misled people and actively kept the console copies out of reviewers' hands speaks volumes. This is a terrible situation. Now, it's gonna take time for them to get past this. And, I've had some discussions with people on the team, and people are like, well, what would you expect them to do at this point? And it's kind of like the saying, I always say with Star Wars, we are where we are, so how do we move forward? But we are too closely removed from all of this. We are in the middle of all of this happening right now. So I can't sit there and just say, yes, they apologize and they've offered refunds, which that's a whole nother set of can of worms right there, the refund process. But yes, they have apologized, they've acknowledged mistakes, and they have offered refunds. That's good. They didn't sit there and go like a Naughty Dog or a Lucasfilm and call you a racist or a sexist because you think their game is shit. They didn't do that, and they deserve credit for that, but we're still in the middle of it. And it's like I said, now, after a second season of The Mandalorian, I can sit there and go, okay, we are where we are with Star Wars. How do we move forward? Because we're so far removed from the sequel trilogy in terms of time. But right after The Rise of Skywalker, I wasn't saying that because we were too closely linked to the disaster. With Cyberpunk, it's going to take time. I don't know if there's anything they can do right now that's going to save them face. It's going to take time. Time heals all wounds as long as you're able to continue to do the right things. But in the moment right now, as we speak, they lied. They misled, and they actively held reviews back because they knew that they would get criticized. None of that is a good look at all. This is a terrible look. Now, I am not passionate one way or the other on CD Projekt Red. I don't have any loyalty towards them, and I don't have any negativity towards them outside of this particular experience. And yes, I have purchased the game on PC and PlayStation 4, which I updated to my PlayStation 5, and it looked good. But I am just looking at this entire situation, and I'm sad for so many people because this game was one of the most anticipated games in the last decade, and it is a disaster for this company, and it's going to take some time for everything to clear up. I wish I hated CD Projekt Red, but I don't. So I can't really just overly trash them as much as I'm just gonna have to call out what has happened right before our very eyes. And what has happened is not good, but I hope that they can recover. But it's going to take some significant time, and it's going to take some significant leaps and bounds from a PR standpoint for people to regain their trust in this company. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.